people wonder what's after Driven. So I'm going to be putting together a series of events. I do what's called HOP on Thursdays. I meet with people, hundreds and hundreds of business people I've met with, women and men, and I connect you to who you need to meet. Also, there's Driven Women TV. It's for women in business and people of interest. You like Driven Women TV? Yeah. So I love doing it. So I want all of you on Driven Women TV because everyone has a story. Everyone has something. It's a conversation. So I love that about Driven Women TV. And we tape on Sundays. So my son is the director and producer, and we have a great time. And Anthony here is from FCTV. He helps me to run my show. Again, I want to acknowledge our sponsors. Cape Cod 5, thank you so much for sponsoring our keynote speaker table. Mayflower homemaker Dan has gone, and he sponsored a table. The 102nd, they're right over there. Raise your hands, ladies, right? Yes. Thank you for your service. They sponsored a table. Right Key Mortgage, Talita is over there. We thank you. She has a vision for helping youth, and she was able to live out part of her vision, just a little part. And we're going to do more with Talita and young people. And they're the youth over there. I want to thank everybody. How about that? So I don't forget anybody. So at this point, we are going to bring some spotlight to a wonderful organization, Heroes in Transition. Okay? So, yes, every year I choose a spotlight nonprofit. We had the YMCA, we've had Kennedy Donovan Center, and now it's time for Cindy Jones and Heroes in Transition. And my goal with that is to, people who do not know the kind of work around here that they do, that you all would go to their website. Is it .org? heroesintransition.org. Yes, and Nicole is right there. You're there. What's your operations manager, marketing, all of it? She gets it done. Okay. So they put on the most just wonderful, wonderful events. They have a gala in the spring. Is it fall? They have a gala. They just did a retreat for veterans and their spouses so that they would come and get some nurturing. And I mean, it was cutting edge, and they see that growing. They have a race called Rut for Hit, correct? Last year, they ran from ground zero to Cape Cod with heavy backpacks on to raise money for, And this year, they're running across Cape Cod. From Provincetown? What? So if you're a runner, Sarah Colvin, if you know runners, if you're someone who could help with funding that, if you're a bank here, if you are a marketer, a radio station, newspaper print, and can help get that word out, because that is some amazing work that they do. And also, what they raise money for is to provide service dogs. Where's Jill? Jill? Yep. Jill's over there, and they're on the front page of the paper today. They provide service dogs for veterans in need. And if you guys know anything about PTSD and stress, and it's such a valuable service. And they also provide funds for home modifications and other supports that veterans need, right? And we are so grateful for your work and that you chose to use your pain and turn it into purpose, Cindy.
Thank you.
So we want to help you. So we did a little, our kickoff party was a few weeks ago at Sopranos. Sopranos provided a beautiful buffet. A lot of you came. It was amazing, and we were able to raise a little money for Heroes, but we'd like to have that matched and be able to give them a little something. But more importantly, we want you guys to follow up with them, okay? So, all right, I'm moving on. So every year, for the last couple of years anyway, we've chosen to honor a woman, who's gone on and who made a significant difference in my life. Last year it was my aunt. She was the She created the first tenant-managed housing authority in the country and went on to have a national model, presence all over the world, audience with the presidents and mayors. So just a humble woman, and we honored her last year. This year, if you go to the back page of your book, please, if you have your books with you, we're going to just honor my mother-in-law. My husband, Mark, is in the back. Mark, raise your hand. That's my hubby, that handsome devil. I honor you. He supports me in everything I do. I spend a lot of time doing other things, and he's there for me. But my mother-in-law, Mary Hutchinson, she was here last year. She was 89 years old when she passed. A lot of you have met her in Panera Bread when I'm there working and hopping, and she was there having her coffee, and she said, "What is it you do exactly, Marie?" To her, it looks like I just run around and play and meet people, hang out. But she wanted to see what I did. So I was so honored when she said that she would come to Driven last year. And she sat basically right there, and the keynote speaker was a young, 50-year-old African-American woman, and my mother-in-law said, I really related to that, and she loved it. And I remember the joy and how she met a lot of people, and people that she had met at Panera, and she went home and she was so happy, and she went into her garage and fell and broke her hip. She had our swag bag, and that was the beginning of a series of hospitalizations. So imagine my heart. Part of me said, if she didn't come and she wasn't carrying my swag bag, but part of me knew her purpose and her time has come, and I appreciate her. So I'm just going to read my tribute to my mother-in-law, Mary Hutchinson, a little Irish woman with a lot of love and a lot of spirit. I've never seen anybody transition out of this life like that. I've never seen anybody transition out of life, really. I always kind of but I stayed with her. We sang, we laughed. She said, love one another, be kind to one another, she told us. She said, I love you. And she told us that we were all special and good. And that was, all I ever wanted was a mother-in-law that made some sense. And I had one. I had one. And I didn't always appreciate it. But I would give anything. Yeah, that's all I ever wanted. It was like, give me one that makes some sense. Okay, so let's read about Mary Hutchinson. This is what I felt about her. I hope I can see. Anybody got any readers? Okay, Mary Hutchinson, a wonderful, kind, original, driven woman. She was born on October 27th, and she passed December 18th, 2016. The poem I wrote is called Honor. She deserves honor. She deserves praise for the wonderful life and the children she raised. She deserves accolades and gifts at her feet for respecting her husband, making his life complete. 67 years of marriage. She deserves flowers while she is living, provisions to those in need she is always giving. She deserves a mansion and streets paved with gold, stories of her proud heritage she joyously told. She deserves love to surround her today, a prayer of thanksgiving to take the pain away. She deserves her family and friends to know she loves them and lived a life free of regrets and woe. My mother-in-law deserves peace and rest because we all know that she has done her best and is ready to meet her God and Savior. She wants us to be on our best behavior and to be kind to one another and take good care of ourselves. She deserves honor. She deserves peace. Now rest, Mother. Your purpose will be made complete. Thank you. She was wonderful. I'd like to call up Sarah Colvin right now, and she's going to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you so much. And let's give a round for Marie for putting this all together. Amazing work. So this morning, I was talking a little bit about inspirational women, and I think that everyone in this room is inspirational, but our keynote speaker really is truly an inspirational woman. It's wonderful to see entrepreneurial women, 2,000% growth since you began your company. That's amazing. And right here on Cape Cod, trying to bring back the textile industry and doing it conscientiously with the environment in mind. Kathryn Hilderbrand is a master tailor, a designer, and a business entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience working in the fashion industry. She is the CEO founder of Good Clothing Company with 2 locations on Cape Cod and in Fall River, and she recently founded Good Apparel at GCC's house label. Looking forward to finding some clothes from that label. I love local clothing. She's passionate about bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States. She actively works with the state of Massachusetts to build training programs for trades in the industry and to legalize hemp as a textile crop for our state. So important to be able to create jobs and also bolster that economy, find new ways for people to make money here in Massachusetts. And as I mentioned, 2,000% growth and ever-expanding business. Her primary focus is changing the industry, creating jobs that empower women, pay a living wage. That's important, especially here on Cape Cod. I think where men and women, it's difficult to find a job that has living wage. This is coming from someone who does 2 jobs on a regular basis, and changing the conversation in modern day fashion and consumption. So very much looking forward to hearing from Kathryn, our keynote speaker.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you, Marie, for having me. It is truly, I'm truly very grateful to be in a room of, wow, so many women here who are all doing very similar things to what it is that I'm doing, and just living our lives and trying to live with purpose is the topic of today's conversation. A little bit of backstory on me, just so you kind of understand where I came from. I've been in the fashion industry as a tailor for about 31 years. I did my first apprenticeship at 16 years old under a master tailor from Italy who was quite demanding, mildly obnoxious, and paid me very, very little. But I learned a lot through that experience, and coupled with the experience of being raised by my parents who were driven in their own sense of purpose, but work ethic was very much something that they wanted to instill in us, not only as young women, but as young people coming into the workforce and creating families and whatnot. So worked very hard through all of that, and wanted to be something that my parents would be proud of. Later went into school and into design, and through that journey of going into this business, fell in love with fashion and fell in love with what it was that I was doing, and really was kind of at a good space with business at that time. We were making money, and people could live sustainably off of design and creation and tailoring and things of that nature. And at the time, I was a young mother, and I was working quite a bit. And nearing a time when I began to see that people were no longer investing in their clothing, and not investing not just in their clothing, but not investing in their purchases as a whole. And what I did not understand at that time, and later came to understand, was that we as a country had lowered the bar and had raced to the bottom, looking for the next least expensive thing that we could sort of fill our souls and our closets and our space with, and fill ourselves up with. And in doing so, what I also didn't realize at the time was that we were in the midst of ripping away 500,000 jobs from really great, decent human beings here in the United States of America. And the way that we did that was that we sent those jobs overseas to marginalized people, and got these things done for nothing. So through this beginning and this understanding, and watching my financial piece of my life fall apart through this process, I just got pissed off, quite frankly, and was tired of working for the wages that I was working for with my level of expertise and my education. and partnered up with a very good friend of mine and said, I have a great idea, and you should do this with me. And she says, what is it? And I said, I think we need to open an apparel manufacturing facility here on Cape Cod. And that did not resonate very well, and it did not feel at all like a very good idea to her in any way, shape, or form. Because we were struggling so much with getting people to pay to get their pants hemmed. And I said, no, I really, really do believe that we can do this, and I really, really do believe that this is more than about sewing. This is about changing a conversation with our consumers, and this is about raising the bar for women who primarily, occupy this field, and this is about bringing an industry back to our state that is so much a part of this history. Why not? I mean, what have we got to lose? What have we got to lose? Let's just do it. So she did it, and went with me, and we got this tiny little space of 750 square feet, which felt massive at the time to me. And we put our 5 little sewing machines that we had in our basements, and I had a couple that I pulled from my tailoring shop, and we were in business, I mean, we were just so excited, and we decided we were going to give this thing a whirl. And we started announcing that we were going to do small batch manufacturing for these really amazing designers that are all around our country, and we were going to give them an opportunity to launch and thrive, and we were going to do something in a way that no one in the industry was doing, and everyone told me could not be done. And we were just going for it. We realized at some point that we might need a bank account to go along with this. And the truth of the story is that our bank account for a good clothing company was actually opened with $7.35 that we got from bottle returns. Yeah, so thank you. For the longest time, my kids said, Mom, you cannot include this in the story. And I said, no, you need to include this in the story, guys, because that's the reality. I wish it were more polished, but it wasn't. So, just to fast forward, this is about women driven with purpose. And for me personally, this was about overcoming something that was causing, a wall in my life, in my professional life, in my financial life, truly in my spiritual life, because doing things in the way that we were having to do them was extraordinarily soul-sucking. And it makes for a crappy mother, I mean, quite frankly. And I had 2 kids to look at. And so what it is about what we've done is not just for ourselves as women, but we are an advocate for all women in our industry and all women throughout the nation. We want the women who are in our industry here in the United States of America to be supported, to be applauded for their hard work, to be paid appropriately and compensated in ways that are in line with what it is that they're doing. And we also want to advocate for the women, overseas who have been taken advantage of, so that we could reap the benefits at the cost of their wellness and in many cases their lives. We launched this thing, and we started with a couple of girls and some bottle returns, and I'm very happy to say that we've grown quite extensively. We're now in 17,000 square feet of space. We're occupying a lot of dead mill space here in Massachusetts. We've created a number of jobs, a number of great opportunities. We've launched over 100 brands in the last 2 years and gotten them to a point of success. We pay our seamstresses some of the highest wages in Massachusetts, and I'm very proud to say that. We do pay a living wage. We create opportunities. We have benefits for our employees. Not quite as many as I'd like yet, but we have benefits for our employees, and we're on track now to create 30 more jobs by February of 2018. Thanks. So we just released our house collection as well, Good Apparel. Rachel is here, my marketing creator, who has thrown her heart and soul into that over the last year. So it's really nice also to see that we're able to be working with local Cape women who are so incredibly talented and have so much to offer. I'm really, really honored to be here today and be in the presence of all of you. And I truly appreciate you listening to our story, and we hope that you'll support, as consumers, Made in the USA. Please.
Yeah, so
Please.
we can ask a few questions. I have one. Can you tell us, if you can, we've seen you on with Tim Gunn on
Yeah.
Project
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
We've seen you. Can you just talk about some of the exciting things you've done nationally or connections you've made?
Thanks, Marie. I had lunch with Marie on Sunday and said, Marie, this is always so tough for me because the things that I find really inspiring about people are people who really have to go through hell and they come back, and they come back with, this tenacity and this purpose and this focus and dedication. So this is not ever the stuff that I talk about because it's not truly what moves me. But yes, we've done a lot of exciting things nationally. I mean, we're recognized by a lot of, not just nationally, but globally. We're recognized by a lot of different wonderful agencies in our industry. Tim Gunn's a good friend. He's great. He's a huge supporter. We're working with the state of Massachusetts right now to, as Sarah mentioned, we're working to legalize hemp as a crop, not just for agriculture and for textile use here in our great state of Massachusetts, but also as a food and grain crop and a way to bring money in for farmers, job opportunities and things of that nature. We'll apparently be, what did we find out today? We'll be Leader of the Month for the future wear of apparel, so that's exciting.
Can you speak to the documentary, The True Cost?
Absolutely.
That changed my life. And I started out, I went to college for fashion design. I changed over because it was really expensive to do. And that was kind of when it was starting to happen, fast fashion and throwaway fashion type of thing.
So what specifically did you, because
Just the idea behind it is sort of what you're
maybe
doing.
maybe we can share this for those who don't know. So for those of you who have not seen the movie The True Cost, it's a documentary about the horrific effects of fast fashion, not only what they've had on the workers overseas. And by the way, I want to make it very clear, I understand very clearly that not every worker overseas is marginalized or mistreated. I just want to, they're just too often they are. So I do want to make that clear. I'm not delusional. But it highlights that, and it also highlights the atrocities that we commit with this type of consumption, fast fashion, sort of this throwaway, gimme mentality, and not being mindful in our practices and being mindful about the choices that we make. It's a travesty. It does cover one of the most horrific events that happened in fashion just a couple of years ago, the collapse of Rana Plaza, which killed over 2,000 people. There was a small crack up the side of the building, and we had some of the nation's leading brands that were being produced in that building. And they weren't supposed to have as many floors in this building as they did. They certainly weren't supposed to have the number of people that they had in that building. And oftentimes these women were locked in so that they would show up to work the next morning. Many of them didn't want to go in. The manager was outside saying that if they didn't go in, they wouldn't have a job. They went in. The start of their sewing machines, the hum of their sewing machines caused that crack to open up in the building. It collapsed and it killed a number of really, truly beautiful mothers who were working so hard to get us $7.99 jeans. It just follows the stories of women and garment workers in general, but who are primarily women and what they suffered. I think what's important to know, though, is not were they just suffering. American workers were suffering as well, because many of them lost their jobs. But when we were bringing these garments back, all hands who are touching your apparel or have been touching your apparel, not you personally, but our apparel here in the US and worldwide, have been marginalized in some way, because by devaluing the art that goes into that, the craftsmanship that goes into that, the sacrifice in many cases that goes into that. We devalue the people behind it on every level and in every sector. So truly, truly, thank you for bringing that up. And truly, one of the major reasons why we do what we do on a daily basis, 7 days a week.
I'm glad it's caught on, and it seems like it's a movement, and hopefully we can continue and other people will follow suit.
Absolutely, absolutely. How are you?
My name's Ralph. I'm the operations manager for Driven.
I know who you are.
Share with my mom about their passion and purpose and things like that. But they also have a sense of it comes at a cost. You talked about how their children. Can you just kind of elaborate on how you create success, balance family, and everything like that?
Yeah. Should I? Well, I won't have them talk about that. So I'm a mother of 2 children. I'm a single mother. I've been a single mother for over 2 decades. I have 2 great, great kids, one of whom was recently married, one of whom is 15, and whew, that's it. He's a boy. But great kids. And, you know, obviously when things went south with what it is that I do financially, things were a huge struggle, and but being present for my children, teaching my children always that what matters is who we are and what the substance and the core of who we are as people, that being genuine is so incredibly important. Please be authentic. You know, and there's really definitely nothing sexy about BS. You know what I'm saying? Just really trying to instill that in them. But they had to watch their mom go from someone who certainly wasn't rich, but who did well, to someone who was not doing so hot. You know, I didn't get a raise for almost 20 years, and that's kind of depressing. And then we lost everything with the economic crash, and we had to build back. I mean, we had to build back from literally nothing. But they went through that. They went through that journey with me. They walked that walk with me. And to maybe perfectly answer your question, 2 weeks ago, my son, who really does not have much to say to me at all anymore, finds me terribly not interesting. I was showing him something that recently happened for us with our company, which was pretty spectacular. And I would share it with you, but I actually cannot until next month. I am not allowed to make that public until next month. But he looked at me and he, you know, kind of did the hi thing. And he goes, "You know what, Mom?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "Hard work really does pay off." And I'm like, holla. So basically, at least I kick a little tail in my son's eyes, and he knows his mom's present, and I hope that I have given them the gift that my parents gave me, and that there is so much to be proud of when you're a hard-working, show-up kind of person, and that when everything that you do is done with a true meaning. So I hope if I give that to them before I leave, then that's way more important than any of this to me. So. Can I be done? No. Okay.
I see on your website that you also offer consulting services. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, we do. So one of the things that we found out is that like a lot of people want to start a clothing brand. I mean, a lot, more than you would ever know. Everyone and their sister wants to start a clothing line, which I think is extraordinarily cool.
I don't.
Kind of the Project Runway effect a little bit. Well, it's kind of cool when you open up the doors and something that was never ever available, because if you wanted to make one T-shirt, your minimums were 500 per size, style, color.
Right.
So if you wanted to make one black T-shirt, if you had a small, medium, and large, you had to make 1,500 of the black ones. So if you're a designer and you want to go out and you want to make something, or you want to make 10 of it, it's not a thing. It's not available. So when we made that available and challenged that whole model and said, garbage, you know, you can make less and you should, and we're going to give this thing a whirl. that like the floodgates opened and the really enthusiastic people showed up, but they don't know what they're doing. So most of the time, which is not a bad thing, but they just need the tools. And so our consultations are designed to save you thousands and thousands of dollars that you will waste doing it all the wrong way, duplicating steps, doing things that you don't need to be doing. So we have, it's a flat fee consultation. 99% of the time they'll be speaking with me, and we give them a credit back toward their future production. It's a way to just set them up with the tools that they need to launch and thrive. Thanks.
Do you also do like accessories, shoes, or is it just strictly clothing?
It's all cut and sew apparel. So it's that's a whole different manufacturing facility, different machine set, a different kind of, we call it the skeleton of the floor that we don't have. Thank you. Thanks, guys. It's really great to be here, and thanks to everyone for listening. I hope you guys have a great week.